Welcome back to the Running Explained podcast. Hi, I'm Coach Elizabeth, and I'm here to break down the science of running in a way that actually makes sense. Whether you're training for your very first race, aiming for a new PR, or just trying to be a more balanced runner, this podcast is your go-to spot for all things running. At Running Explained, running is more than just about logging miles. It's about becoming the best version of you. That's why we talk about more than just improving your fitness, but how to support your physical, mental, and emotional health too, so you'll see improvements that go far beyond race times. And if you're looking for more support, I've got you covered. Whether you're interested in one-on-one coaching, following a structured training plan, or joining our supportive group coaching, I've got options to meet you where you are and help you level up. Ready to dive in? Let's go. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Running Explained podcast. My guests this week are Running Explained coaches Jessie and Nick, and we are talking all about traveling to races with family in tow and how to do it like a pro. Maybe not literally a professional runner, but a professional in a sense of, you got this. Coach Jessie, Coach Nick, welcome back to the show, both of you. How we doing?
Doing great.
Yeah, doing well.
So for listeners who may not have listened to your previous appearances on the show, you both have been on a couple times. Let's just super briefly catch people up. Jessie, go ahead and just tell us, who are you?
I am Coach Jessie. I am a marathon runner. I'm trying to do a marathon in all 50 states. Mom, wife, run with my dog, and I've been a coach with Running Explained for over 2.5 years now. It's been a good time.
Woo woo!
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Nick Klastava. I'm a former collegiate runner who then found joy in running while he got older. He's a dad. He's a running coach. He's the head coach of running here at Running Explained. He's a podcast host. He's a little bit of everything.
It's a bird. It's plane. It's Nick Klastava. And several reasons that I was so excited to have you guys on this show for this specific episode is because those reasons are your kids. And this is an episode about how the heck do you get the most out of your race weekend when the family is also coming along. So whether you're going after a gigantic goal race or it's just a fun destination race, if you are bringing your family along with you, there's always more to consider. So let's dive in. I have a ton of questions and we're gonna go through this and hopefully make everybody's lives easier when they travel to their next race with kids. So I want to get a sense for, I know Nick, obviously you've been running since college. Jessie, you've obviously been running since before you had kids. How much has your race travel changed with kids? Jessie, you can go first.
It's changed a lot. I don't get to focus just on myself anymore. I have to make sure that things are packed for the kids, and there's not just my snacks, the kids' snacks and activities and planning. So I would say a lot more packing, a lot more planning ahead to make sure everyone's happy.
How old were your kids when you first started traveling to races with them? Both of you, I'd love to know.
So I guess with my first kid, within a year postpartum, I went and did Chicago Marathon with them. Like for me, I know that's driving distance, but still to pack everything. But we have flown with both kids to races as well. So yeah, from the start.
Oh, we'll be diving deep into that. Nick, how about you?
Yeah, we made the weird decision at 4 months old, my daughter Chloe was, where we went to Boston and we drove the 8 hours from Maryland and didn't know, it was our first kid, so we didn't know what to bring. So we literally brought everything. And then we met my mom in New Jersey and piled her in the car, and my sister in New Jersey and piled her in the car with my wife and my daughter. And we drove all the way to Boston, and our room was full of everything, but we made it work. And it was a fun weekend of carrying around a 4-month-old, sorry.
Let's talk about making a decision to bring your family to races, because like this whole episode is going to be about there's extra stuff. There always is when you have family around, but there's extra stuff when you are there as a parent, trying to focus on your big day, but also trying to still parent your kids. Like that never stops happening. I want to hear from both of you about the decision to bring your family or not. Do you ever have conversations with your spouse or with your family about whether everybody's coming this time or not? Or is like a given every single time we travel for a race, everybody's coming. That's just how we do it.
We talk about it because sometimes it's harder. Sometimes it's incredibly expensive. Like take CIM, for example, when I go out there, it's just a lot to fly the family cross country and pay for those flights and all the other stuff that comes with it. So sometimes it's a financial decision. Sometimes it's if I have a big goal, or, sometimes if I'm there for other reasons, like it's like, hey, does this make sense for all of us? And then sometimes it's making a vacation out of it, right? We just did this at Boston. It was spring break, so it became the family vacation, the race too, right? So a lot of times it's just, there's plenty of times where it's just me, and there's other times where I want to bring the family because we can have fun in other ways.
I agree with Nick, and with trying to do the 50 states, there's obviously some states are more fun to travel to than others. So it's thinking, oh, is this worthwhile to bring the kids? Is there something even for the kids to do? Or if we're visiting friends, some of the situations, like we're visiting family or friends, so like, okay, let's bring them and we'll just make a long weekend out of it, and we can do activities that way as well. So yes, those conversations are had. Is it fine if my husband stays home with the kids, or who's going to watch the kids if I end up going alone?
How do you ever feel, I'm just not saying that you should, do you ever feel guilty for leaving them or taking them or anything?
Yes, I'd say there's a lot of guilt, even with like training and traveling too. You're like, oh, I feel like I should be home. And so as a mom, I just feel like there just is a lot of guilt. Like, is this worthwhile me doing this? But I know personally for me, I feel better getting that time for myself. But yeah, with traveling, obviously, like kids can be in activities. Like my kids are grade school, one will be starting kindergarten, but they have soccer on the weekends. So then for me, I just feel guilty. Well, I'm not at their activity too, because I don't want them to miss out on their stuff. So there's guilt not being home, but then I feel good, like accomplishing something for me. But then, it is also fun when they are there to cheer you on and just have that extra support.
Jessie, can you talk a bit more about that? Because that's a big one, especially since we're heading into spring activity season with all of the sports and all the activities, not just on the weekdays. Now everything's on the weekends as the weather gets nice. Talk to me about that push-pull. I'm better as a human being and as a parent when I can run, but my running takes me away from spending time with my kids. How do you think about the benefit that running has in your life where you are kind of dealing with some of those thoughts and feelings?
So I know for me growing up, like my parents came to everything. So I know I was like, well, I want to do that for my kids as well. So like, yes, I try to make all the practices and games. Obviously races tend to be on weekends, so I'll have to miss a game if we chose not to bring the kids, kind of thing. So it's just navigating and like just try to check in and like see how it goes, and know from far away, like with the phone call, like you're still supporting them, and they seem to understand that mama has a race or something going on. Like they're aware I feel much better if I get her running in the morning. They always check in because I run with my dog. They're like, oh, did you take the dog this morning? But yeah, it's hard sometimes. Like you do feel bad not being there, but I don't know. Sometimes you need your own goals and things to achieve as well. And that makes me feel like myself. I feel like once you become a mom or a parent, you kind of get split, like you kind of your personality or life path kind of changes. You're like, well, I don't feel like myself anymore. Like once you become a parent kind of thing, because you're divided. You're like, now you're kid's mom. You're so like, I feel like running's the one thing, like, okay, this is still my thing as well to have.
I love that. Nick, how about you? The guilt, the choice to leave, to bring them along, to leave them behind?
Yeah, I mean, parent guilt is always there, right? It's a little, I feel like dad guilt's a little weird. Sometimes, my kids have a tendency to lean heavy towards mom. I don't know if that's a lot of parents, but like, so with mine, I'll tell them all week, hey, I'm going to this race, and they'll be like, whatever. And then I'll leave and they'll just say, okay, bye. And then I'll be gone. And then they'll call me hysterical. Where are you? Why aren't you home? And they'll call me like 33 times. And I'm like, if I was home, you wouldn't even want to talk to me this much. But so then like the guilt hits real, like instead of being like guilty feeling like I'm leaving, I'm there. And then they're like making me feel real guilty. I remember I was in California and they learned how to call me on their Echo. And I had like 6 messages at 4 a.m. Daddy, we figured out we're calling you from our Amazon Echo. And I'm like, oh, we figured this out. Also, hey guys, like I left 2 days ago and you didn't care. So yeah, the guilt, it's hard guilt. I mean, I want them there at times, and sometimes I want this place for me. It's also a lot of guilt, parent guilt of like, I don't want to feel like my wife has this, I say burden, but it is harder to manage 2 kids by yourself than it was with one person. So sometimes like I feel a little better if we don't have family local, but if family is around or she has someone to sort of help out, then I feel a little less guilty as a husband. But with my kids, it's, they're at an age now where they kind of want to be at races too. So it's like making sure I navigate that experience of, okay, well, I know you want to be there. This one we can do, this one's harder. And I know even when you're there, like it has to be about you guys almost more than even my own race. So I have to kind of carry that too with me.
I would love to hear stories from you traveling to races with the family. What is kind of, if you were to tell a cocktail party story about the one time you traveled to this race with your family and pretty much everything that could go sideways did, I would love to hear those stories if you have them. And if not, God bless you.
I got one. I guess, this year, Boston, we took the kids up. We made it a family, like I said, a spring break vacation. And we're not really city. My kids haven't been in, I guess they have a little bit. But so essentially we got there and it was a lot of, I don't want to walk. Like, this is too far. 4 blocks is too far. And then we get places and then they sort of don't want to be there. And Boston is a big experience because I guess when I did in 2017, you would just walk into the expo, get your bib, leave. Now there's like a line wrapped around the building. We're waiting in that. And there's like all these people downtown and we're like navigating through the pedestrians and all the people who are here for the race that, 7-8 years ago when I did it, it wasn't like this. And, it was, and then trying to spectate the race at the end, my wife, the kids wanted to cheer me on and she tried to get them out in the course, but gates everywhere for understandable reasons of what has happened at Boston. But she ended up about a mile away from the finish line when I finished, and I called her and I was like, hey, where are you? And then her phone died because she was on her phone. Well, not her, my daughter was on her phone the whole time playing because she was bored. And then her phone died. So she's like, I was like, I don't know, you can't get to me. So I'm like, I had to like sort of hobble my way back with like none of my clothes that I planned because it was cold and I was sweating. And then they had to somehow get a taxi because no phone. So like we eventually made it back together, but like they didn't see me finish. They didn't see me on the course. And the first time they saw me was like an hour and 25 minutes post race, back at the hotel.
Both of mine kind of revolve around New York City. So last year I'd done the Jersey City Marathon and we brought the kids. We were visiting friends that lived in New Jersey. And so we went, like it was an easy train ride to New York City. Of course, this is the day before the race. And of course, we're walking around before we want them to see the Lego store, Nintendo, and like make them excited and have fun. But then they were just done. But I still had to go to the expo and like pick up my stuff. But they're like, well, we can't do any more. And I had to find a way to borrow a car to go myself to go to the expo. Just, when it wasn't like my schedule normally. Like I could obviously easily rallied and kept going. And then.
How old were they at this?
So they were 4 and 6. At that time. And I'll be honest, I was very impressed how much walking they did do around New York City, even though I didn't want to do more walking. I'm like, I shouldn't be doing all this. And then it comes down to like going out to eat. They're like, well, I only want chicken fingers and fries. I'm like, well, that's not a carb that I want. That's not going to give me pasta or pizza. That just, I had to be accepting of where we could eat and pick something up later. I mean, granted, I did pack my own snacks, but I feel like the choice is not as easily yours when you're out with your family.
Yeah, that's a good point. You both mentioned stories about big races like Boston, New York. And yes, there, I think, is an exciting part about making the big races, like you said, that destination, that family vacation. Now we're also here in this place after the race or before the race, we can go do these other things with the family. But the same thing that makes those places great destinations make them very family unfriendly places to bring your kids, because like you just said, they can't watch you cross the finish line unless you have like VIP seating. But a smaller race, a local one or one that's nearby, they probably have a lot more chance to participate or kind of see what you're doing on race day. Or do your kids not care either way? Like, or if you're out there racing, they don't give a fig, whether you're in Boston or, you know, another very, very small town.
No, mine care. I mean, I do races I've done. I did Philly in 2023, and my kids came up, and they got to like mile 12, and they were able to be right in the side of the course. There's no gate. I ran by. I gave them a hug. They gave me a hug back. There's a nice video of that they really enjoyed. And then they came to Baltimore last year, and they made it was around Halloween, so they made all these fun signs. My daughter's a big artist, and she made signs for everyone. She was by the park just cheering, and they said they were there hours just cheering people going by, and they really enjoyed it. I got to see them, ran by and gave them a hug. So, they enjoy it when they're actively involved in being able to cheer. I think Boston was so hard because you couldn't get anywhere near to be able to cheer. It's like a bigger city race. Unless you go to like a smaller spot, it's hard to be engaged. And I think they really like being engaged in the cheering aspect.
Yeah, I don't think my kids really understand the difference between a big race and a small race at this point. Like a 5K is probably the same as a marathon to them. So we're not quite at that stage.
As they get older, obviously things change. So Jessie, your kids are, how old are they now? You said going into kindergarten, now in grade school as well?
Now.
7 and 5. Nick, what about you?
6 and 8.
6 and 8. Okay. So kind of all around the same age, where they're autonomous little people, but they're still very much kids, where they have their own way of doing things, but they need a ton of assistance and help in making sure they don't get squished by a car. When you are planning out your race weekends now, when you are bringing family along and the family is mobile and alert, right? We're talking about infants, not the 4-month-old Chloe anymore. How do you think about that race weekend? Because Jessie, like you said, this race weekend, when your family is there, it's not 100% about you, even though, we might want it to be, right? We runners like to have our race weekends be ours. So when you're thinking about all the logistics of picking up your bib and making sure you're getting your carbs the night before and getting to the start line in the morning and meeting up with your people after the race, aside from that, what else do you think about including for your family to keep them engaged, to keep the kids active? And obviously this is going to be situation, destination, and age dependent, but I want to hear some of the things that you guys have done in previous races to add on stuff for your kids to do as well that have factored into your race weekend planning. And Jessie, I don't know if you want to go first.
Yeah. Trying to think. Obviously, as much as
and
I
you
would
can
like
say,
this,
well, the thing was like a movie in the hotel room. Like that's an activity that counts.
We did listen to some Taylor Swift, it had just come out on Disney Plus. We're like, okay, let's actually sit. They can dance it off. Because we were luckily at our friend's house and they were Taylor Swift fans. So we're like, perfect. Let's at least get some time to sit, get a break, and I could have some carbs. But yeah, we do want them to, if we're traveling so far to do something, we want them to actually do activities and get outside and do things. Because even when we're home, I like being outside and doing activities. So it's kind of it's hard to balance what I should be doing when not wanting to miss out on too much with the kids and activities. And there was a time where I did just take a break and sit inside, but yeah, I feel like it's hard when you have your goals, because this was an attempt at a PR for me. But yeah, we still wanted to make it a family trip and not have it revolve solely around the race.
Talk to me more about that. Was this New York, the trip we were talking about?
The Jersey City marathon last year.
Jersey City.
Yeah. It ended up being.
So talk to me about that PR attempt, because that's a big weekend, even without family in tow.
Yeah. I mean, I think also, so with that, we had done a lot of the walking in New York City the day before, so that might not have helped. And I probably didn't get as many carbs as I should have. And it just ended up being warm. So just like, it's all like thinking in your head, you're like, okay, this isn't how I wanted it to go. As much as you try to plan and organize the trip to make it fun, it's still like weighed down. You're like, oh, I should have been doing something differently. But at the same time, you're like, well, it shouldn't affect me. But like always like thinking back after the race, like, well, if I'd done some things differently, because even just recently, so I had attempted the Twin Cities Marathon twice. So the first time I went, it was canceled because of the severe heat. But that weekend I had gone with my mom, and we did a lot of the sightseeing the day before. So there was a good amount of walking. But then the next year I went and stayed with a friend who was also doing the race, and we were complete couch potatoes and sat and ate carbs. I'm like, this was perfect. It's like, it's just completely different. Like what would have happened for a race to actually sit and just veg out and eat carbs all day for a good race.
Do you feel like the weekend where, yeah, there was a lot of other stuff, it was warm, other things happened. Do you feel like it helps you let go a little bit more? Because we love to control all the things, even the ones we can't control. And looking back and you're thinking like, you know what, nothing's perfect. I did my best.
And I agree. I think it was a good distraction too. Because I will say I could probably use some more mental strength too, like not getting in my head. It was like good to have a distraction, not to be like solely focused on the race and trying to overanalyze everything. So it was good to actually get out and do something, to not actually be sitting thinking with my thoughts of trying to play everything out.
Nick, how about you? What weekend activities have you been planning for these destination races with your kids?
Yeah, for Boston, we like put an itinerary together real early. I kind of accepted that, like, not only was I a coach that weekend, but I was a dad, and like I was running this race, and it was a lot, and it was going to be what it was going to be, right? And so we did a duck tour, we went to the museum, we went to like sightsee, we did a bunch of, like, we had all these things planned out to like keep the kids entertained. And there's never enough, right? Even after all that, they're like, we're still bored. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because we just didn't run around the entire day. But it was important that they felt appreciated too. Like when you bring them, this is like the tough part, right? Like even though you're there for your race, and even when I ran Philly, when I was really chasing a fast time, we just still did stuff for them. And I just have to accept that I'll be on my feet, or I'm parenting, or that these things are a part of it. And that's okay. It does take some of the pressure away from thinking about the race. I felt like at Philly, I didn't think about the race until I woke up the morning of, and I was like, oh yeah. But like, it's important you make them feel a part of the journey, right? Because this is memories for them, and you don't want them to look at this and be like, oh, I just always went to my dad's races and it was so boring. We just sat in the hotel room all day. We weren't allowed to do anything because he had to sit off his feet. And I'm like, no, I want their memories of running to be joyful. And like, we got to see that race, and we went to this museum, or we went on this duck tour, and I drove the boat. She got to drive the boat in the water. Like, that's what the memories I want them to remember. Like, and so if that does impact even my goal races, it's okay. But like, this is going to bring them joy for their lives forever, and maybe make them love running, or just appreciate the running world, right, that I love so much.
Do they ask questions about the race that you're like, when you were in Boston, where they're like, Dad, like, what are you going to do tomorrow? Like, do they have questions about the race, or is it something that's just so normal from what you do that they're just like, yeah, no, this is what he does. We have no questions.
A little bit of everything. So they do have questions. So the duck tour brought out, they made it a big deal about Boston Marathon, because Boston, anyone is talking about it all weekend. So they kept bringing it up, and I was like, I'm doing it. And the kids were like asking me about, the race and stuff. I think they know I'm a coach too. So like they saw one of my athletes post race. They didn't see me, but they saw one of my athletes and ran up and gave her a hug. So like they will come to races to me and be like, all right, Daddy, who's your athletes? And I'll tell them what they're wearing, and somehow they'll notice them like well before me, even though they've never met them before. I'm like, isn't that your athlete? I'm like, what? Okay, yes, because I will show them what they're wearing. And like, so like they understand running from a sense of like, okay, well, he's a coach, or I'm going to help him cheer for athletes, or he's running this race, but like what's going on in the race, or like how far that is, or anything, they're not comprehending that. My daughter will run a mile with me. That's like our fun little thing, but she has a love-hate relationship with running currently. So there's that.
How about you, Jessie?
They more ask if I've won and just want to see the medal. Other than that, they do not really care about the details about the race. Of course, I'm one, I could go on and talk about it all, obviously, but no one, kids do not seem to care.
Have you ever said, yes, I won? Have you ever told them I was the winner?
Oh yeah. They don't know the difference.
Like, I did win. Thank
you.
you.
See?
Of course I did. That's what the medal is for. I won. Nick, you talked about keeping them engaged with making signs and sharing. That sounds like a really fun arts and crafts activity. That would be a great way to keep the kids engaged and involved in race day. Did you do that there? Like, were you making signs in Boston? Or did you bring those with you? So
in Boston, they bought little head figures of me and they put them on a little stick and then they had t-shirts. When we went to Baltimore last year, it was a little bit encouraging for me, but my daughter, once you kind of give her an arts and craft thing, she made 3 signs like in that morning and like drew a ghost and drew like anything Halloween, just like go runners. And like, so you sort of like, for my oldest, you kind of just mention arts and crafts and she's already running with it. And then my youngest she's, a kindergartner. So her arts and craft skills are a little that age. So my oldest will be like, oh, here's a sign for you. I'll make this for you too. And so, those types of things have been fun to just like, hey, you're going to cheer on lots of people who are all running and daddy. And so, that was really fun when we did that at Baltimore and I think they really enjoyed it because they were like so proud of their signs.
We're only just starting getting into that phase. I think they probably didn't realize that was something you could do until like my son just did a 1 mile race this past month. So like we made him a sign and like celebrated that. And I think he thought that was cool. So I think now he's like, oh, well, we should do that more often. Like I'm not taking initiative. I don't need them to make signs for me, but if they want
to. I'm just like keeping them busy.
Exactly.
Keeping them engaged. That's what this is all about.
But that might be a good sitting activity for next time to think of.
Yeah. Bring the markers, get the paper. All right. I have a hypothetical question. So let's say that you have gotten into an international race. It's one you've been dying to get into. You're super excited and you really want to go and make this a big performance breakthrough. But your family wants to come with you on this gorgeous international vacation. And you're a little concerned, although you love them, about having them there with all the time zone changes and all the extra stuff. And you've got kids in a foreign country. How would you make that decision? Or would there even be a decision? You would just say, no, I don't care. You're coming no matter what. Do I do this for my performance? Do I have my family there? Or is there a way I can blend the two, assuming it's financially feasible?
So I did try to get into Berlin this past year, and I was already planning and thinking of how this would all work out. I didn't end up getting in, which was almost a relief because I was already so stressed about what we would do with the family and if we were going to make it happen. But I think in all of that came to the conclusion we might leave the kids at home. As sad as like it would have been, I don't know how often I'll go back to Europe. I've been to Europe before, but I think it would have just been a husband and myself trip. We did kind of talk that through, but there would have definitely been guilt. I felt like it probably would have been a good opportunity to bring the family. My husband's family is from Poland. We're like, oh, that's not too far. We could have like met the family because we haven't met them. They're over in Poland, obviously. But so there were some things to talk about doing that. But yeah, obviously financial and just the stress with travel. And I do not speak any languages anymore. It probably would have just been my husband and I when we talked that through, but there's also relief that we're not going right now. So just a lot with
yeah.
We'll start. I'm like, well, this might not have been a good choice. Maybe later.
That's really, I mean, that's interesting. That was immediately you're like, hey, you know what? This is probably not a vacation that the kids are going to come on. Like you wouldn't go alone. You'd go with your husband, but it would be no kids. Do you think that's partially because of their age right now? Like if they were 8 and 10 in a couple years, might this be a different conversation?
Yes, I was thinking along that. If they were older and it's a whole new country. Like I don't know how safe things are around there. Like just have to be on them so much more. This is completely different than Disney World. Like we go to Disney all the time, but foreign country would be a lot more to handle and deal with kids. So, but yeah, I am contemplating like, yes, when they're older, I think it might be a good opportunity to go and try again for the lottery.
Nick, what about you?
Yeah, I put in for London this year, and since only 1.1 million people applied, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get in. So I'm already planning out how I'll do this next year. So no, really, we have a little difficult scenario if I got into an international race, because I definitely would want to bring my wife if I got into London or Tokyo or something like that, or Sydney, maybe. Seems really far. But then we don't really have family who can watch kids. Like it's my kids are a little old for my mom to be able to handle her. For as long as I'd want to go international. Like I'm not going to go to London and fly out on Friday, get there Saturday morning, run the race Sunday, and then get in the plane and fly back. Like I'm gonna experience it. So I don't know if we have family we feel could watch them for that long. So either I go by myself, which I think she'd be like, why I should come, and rightly so, or we bring the whole family. And so for me, I think it would be bringing the family, and then it would just sort of be, well, what are we going to do? And how are we going to make this fun for everyone? Even if it was a goal race, like I feel comfortable enough at this point, that I could find time and like just say to the kids, hey, daddy's going to stay back for this activity. And then really just what I would probably do is plan more time on the tail end. I'd have to get there, depending which of these races, enough time to acclimate to whatever ridiculous time zone it is. But after that pre-planning, I'd try to have some time at the end where hey guys, we're going to do these activities now. And I'm just going to walk really slow while we do them, but we will get through them as a family. But yeah, I think for me, we haven't traveled a lot of international as a family either. So it would be fun to do it for that reason. Almost like I'm almost rooting to get into an international marathon. So then I can be like, hey, we're going international, guys, as opposed to just planning a trip because, everything has to be a runcation.
Now, you've both mentioned essentially families watching the kids. When you're traveling, it's a parent, it's your partner, it's, maybe a sister or a friend. Would you ever allow would you ever travel somewhere and take advantage of some sort of babysitting service or is obviously having somebody watch your kids is kind of an important thing, but you have to know that person. There is no situation where you are going to hand your kids off to somebody you don't know.
I would
Absolutely not.
Because I know there are hotels that offer babysitting services and nanny services. You're thinking, no, I would never do that.
Nope. No.
I think my wife would kill me if I even brought that up.
So that does make it very challenging then, because that's a big deal to have your family go somewhere and you think, well, somebody always needs to be watching the kids. What happens if you're both running a race? Jessie, I think you said you and your husband have had a race where you've both been in the race, and it sounds like you've had family watch the kids for you as you're both running.
Yes. So we've done some half, because my husband will only go up to a half marathon. So we've done some half marathons together, and I'm fortunate that my mom's still capable to watch the kids. And we know it's just too much of a hassle for her to attempt to bring the kids to a race. We're not at that. She can stay home with the kids. So my husband and I have gotten a couple runcations ourselves. We do a quick overnight, do a race kind of thing. So we are fortunate to do something short. Those are all I live in Michigan, so they've been Michigan races, but maybe one day we get to go farther, but
are there any races that it doesn't have to be a race that you travel for. I'm just curious. Are there any races that have become kind of a family tradition? You run it every year. Your kids go every year. It's a thing that you guys do. I'm just curious.
We've been liking, there's like a 4th of July 5K kind of near us. And so my kid, they have the kid races and distances too. So like my daughter will do the 200 meter. My son will do the 1 mile. Of course, he wants to do a 5K this year. So that's kind of exciting. And so I would actually race the 5K, but if she wants to do a 5K, I will run with him now. So I think, yeah, they get excited because there's popsicles after and all the goodies. So we've been doing that one so far.
I'm weird. I don't like to do the same race too many times. Like, also weirdly enough, it's like the race I've probably done the most. So I think about it is there's this local 5K, which is about a half mile from my house. I've done 3 times, and Boston, which I've done 3 times, which is nowhere near me at all, ever. It's so far away, so expensive. But so like most, like if I do a marathon, it's like, oh, I've already done that. Not gonna do that again. So we've never, like, I've never been a turkey trotter. I've never been a 4th of July person. Both those days, like Thanksgiving, I just want to be cooking the meal in the morning because I love cooking. And then 4th of July, I don't really feel like running. It's like 1,000,000 degrees everywhere. So I've never, like, none of those traditional, like, okay, well, it's the holiday season. Let's do this race, everyone. I think if my kids ever got older and enjoyed running, well, they will get older. If they ever, when they got older, enjoyed running, then, and they wanted to do this race, I would do it with them every year. But I don't have a lot of races that I like am like pivoting and pointing at, like, this is our yearly race, guys. We're going to this.
Really, no one liked 3 times. The most number of times you've repeated a race has been 3 times. Yeah. That's amazing. Jessie, what race have you run the most number of times?
I mean, I guess you could count Detroit. But I'm a pacer now. Like I've kind of been a set like half marathon pacer. So I'm like, I mean, I love the race and I can do the race for free. It's in my backyard. So I would say Detroit is the one but I have not repeated anything else besides that.
Wow.
Okay, I will not repeat races either.
To be fair, there are so many races out there. You almost can't repeat them if you're trying to have a lot of different races in your calendar over the years. All right, let's go back to race weekend. We are in a different city, possibly a different country. We are there with our family. Our children are not babies, but they're not totally self-sufficient yet. And you have to make dinner plans, and they don't want anything that you want to eat. Jessie, it sounds like you were about to tell us a story at the very beginning that had a very similar ending. How did you make sure they got what they wanted to eat and you also got what you wanted to eat?
So yeah, I'd say that situation for lunch, we tried to compromise. For lunch, we could find some place that they wanted, got their fill of chicken fingers, fries, and I was able to find some stuff for me. I'm one that likes pizza. I mean, who can say no to a pizza? But I like pizza for my pre-race meal. So the kids did, as long as they got their cheese, we like ordered in pizza at a good place for that. But so we had talks on what we could have, but granted, I did pack my own snacks too to have ready. And New Jersey bagels are really good. We got some of those.
The best.
Yeah, I was very impressed.
I know a podcast co-host, Nick, who might take offense to that.
I know, we argue all the time. Jersey bagels are better than New York City bagels.
They were very good.
Jessie, what do you bring in your snack pack? What do you bring for yourself?
I mean, usually I just pack a Costco bagel, but when you had New Jersey bagels, I did like some fresh ones. But yeah, I'll pack bagels and like little containers of peanut butter, Pop-Tarts. I like to bring honey stingers, and obviously have all my gels packed, pretzels. I feel like I'm mostly snacking the whole weekend on top of the meals. So gotta get carbs in when you can.
Nick, how do you navigate the dinner plan conversation?
Oh, well, so we have a little different dynamic, a tiny bit. So my oldest is this very picky eater, and we'll have chicken tenders, but there's only like 4 or 5 different ones she'll have. The Purdue ones, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, and a couple others. And if you get a different frozen chicken nugget, she knows, and she will not eat them, and she immediately knows. So, and then she'll have fries, and like she has like a short list of things. And so for her, it's like, does the place have French fries? And then it's hit or miss, so she'll like them, because if they put any seasoning on them, God forbid she sees a parsley on there, it's like it's over and we can't go back. And sometimes too much salt or pepper, and I get it. Like that, those things can be overwhelming, probably. So we just eat fries at a place, but like sometimes we just bring snacks to the restaurant for her, or like give her food before we go. And then my youngest will eat literally everything. So much that like we need to, like, my dinner can't be my dinner because she's eating it, and then I need a second dinner. And when we went to the pasta place over Boston, she was in everyone's meal, eating my wife's, eating mine, getting their appetizer, eating all the cheese off the burrata. So like she'll kind of take anything unless there's a pepper in it. And she also knows if there's peppers. But yeah, so in that scenario, it's a lot of, okay, well, as long as they have French fries. And somehow we found this Italian place that had French fries. And they were like my daughter's favorite ever. So go figure. And then for my youngest, it's just whatever we're eating, she is eating it and wants all of it. And so dinner plans can be difficult because we do it. My oldest needs to eat, and she will never eat anything pretty much from a restaurant. So we have to make sure she does. So it can be problematic when we're like struggling to get her to eat something, or we're on the road and over snacks. But if we, plan ahead, have something before we go, or can get her something there, then she's fine. Otherwise, she just wants candy and ice cream. So
I mean, don't we all?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
So good.
So I'm hearing find some options, know what your kids kind of will and will not do, and bring snacks for yourself and possibly them. That seems to be the golden rule for race weekend with your kids.
Yeah,
definitely.
I know we've talked a bit about the, kind of added complexity and some of the additional stress or things that having your family present might, confer upon your race weekend. But it's nice having them there sometimes. And I want to hear about some of your favorite memories from when you did have your kids with you at a race, on race weekend, or just something that really stood out to you and you're like, oh man, I'm so glad that I brought you here for this weekend, for this race. I don't know who wants to go first. Who has the most wonderful memory of their children? You can go first.
I don't know if mine's the most wonderful, but two things come to mind. In Philly, 2023, like when I tried to get my wife, I was like, get here, and she did somehow, and like it's a miracle because she had to literally take like an Uber, and they were confused while the streets were closed down, of course, because no one knows it's marathon day in any city ever. And so she got there, and then like they got this spot, and I like saw them, and I ran over, and like I didn't know what they would do, and they like jumped at me and hugged, and there's this like really nice video that I'll overshare on Instagram because I love it. And then like Boston was super fun because, while they didn't see me finish or at all ever on the course, it was nice for them to we did a pre-race meet with one of my athletes, and they were hanging out and like, just giving her hugs and drawing pictures for her and talking to her about her race. And then like post-race, me and one of my athletes who I ran with, we went out to dinner with their family, and they had two girls around the same age. And so like the girls were hanging out and playing. And so like little memories, like just, as a coach, I get to hang out with my athlete, and like my kids are getting along with their kids, and like my kids are meeting my athletes, and like they're seeing me on the course, and little fun memories like that, like make all this so worth it because like, it's my passion. I love it. It's brought me so much joy over my life, and it's brought me community and fun. And like to see my kids be a part of that is like, amazing.
Yeah. I can't say my kids were part of any big races with me, but they seem to care and be more interested. Like I run with a group of friends like in my subdivision. And so they're always asking like if they see her run, like, oh, are you friends with her? Like, so they'll start like cheering for other people like in the sub running. So I think they're seeing that it's more like a social, fun, like happy situation. Like we had just done a virtual marathon with some friends in the sub kind of thing. And like we did put signs out for them. So like I think they get excited like for running in general, but they're usually doing their own thing when I'm doing my races because we got to entertain them. Like one of my races they came to, like there was a playground next to it. So by the finish line, I think they were on the playground instead of watching, which is fine.
That's perfect. Every race should have a playground at the finish line. If you were to talk to a runner who was a parent and maybe their kids they're not brand new, but they're still very young, but they've never traveled with their family for a race before, and they're nervous about it. What would your best advice be to that person? Jessie.
I'd say just be flexible and go with the flow, and it's same at home. Like the kids are they are the center of attention. And behaviors and outbursts can happen as you travel, as it can at home. So just be aware, and just make sure to have snacks. I feel that's key. We don't want anyone hangry. Have snacks for yourself, snacks for your kids, but just be aware, go with the flow, and try to make it fun. I know there might be expectations around like time goals and everything too, but just try to back up. I would say going with the flow is probably the key thing out of it.
Yeah, I'd say I like go with the flow. I think, understand that you as a runner know these things that are going to happen, like waiting in line at an expo, or like maybe someone comes up and you're talking about running for a bit and your kids don't want to be part of the conversation, like little things like, so like you said, have snacks, have activities, have things for them to participate in when you can, but also like acknowledge, will it be harder than by yourself? Sure. But if you love running and you're passionate about it and you want your family to see that side of you and you want to see your family see that side of running and like this thing that you love, having them there will be worth it. May not always be the same experience, may be hard, but like if you go with it with an open mind and find those chances to make memories and joy, like you'll look back and they'll look back at it with so much more joy. And you sometimes hear from kids who like definitely don't like running and they're like, oh, I just went to my parents' races and all we did is like we just didn't have any fun. We just sat there. And I'm like, well, like, yeah, for your own goals, the adult may need that. But like if you bring your kids along and like offer a little bit back, it can be an amazing experience for everyone. And it can be this fun thing that like the family loves to do.
Both of you mentioned having family present on a race weekend took you out of your own heads. Would you say that's an express benefit, especially if you have a tendency to get into your own head, to say, well, I do notice that even though there's kind of more going on when my family is with me, I like it because they really keep me out of my own head. Or on the flip side, some people might hate that. They might say, I want to get race ready. I want to spend more time in my own head and I can't because my family's here. But I want to know how you guys think about it.
I think it's kind of a mix for me. I do appreciate the distraction. I know just sitting there, just thinking about it and planning, I get very nervous. I can get anxious about races. But then at the same time, like I want the time to just lay out my race kit. I need a flat Jessie picture. I don't want people stepping all over it. I'm trying to lay it out. Like sometimes I want like to slow down and to like focus and get things set up and ready too. So I feel like it's kind of a mix. If I can find a good way to balance both, like we have some quiet time and I can like take a little break and get ready, which is nice when if you're traveling with friends or your partner or whatever, they understand that too and can help give you that as well for a little breather. So I find a little bit of both is nice.
Yeah, a little bit of both. For Philly, for example, I got out of the hotel. I went to go grab Panera and like just sat there and ate for a little bit while my wife did something with the kids. And like, so it was just like, hey, you guys go do something. I'm going to go do something for me. I got to think about the race a little bit. And then I got back and I'm parenting and it helps. I mean, I feel like I even parents I coach, sometimes they're like, oh, I get this race weekend. I'm so excited. No kids. And then they're like talking about it afterwards. And like, I missed my kids. And like, all I did is think about the race. And I'm like, I know it's like the other part of this. So it can be a blessing in disguise, but also like, sometimes having your family there can help you. Like, you're doing your normal thing and then you just go run a race. Right. And so like, it's the same way you've trained your entire training block. So you obviously can do it because you got up every Saturday and fed your kids because they woke up at 5, even though they never wake up at 5, only on long run day. And, then you did this thing and then, it's the same thing on race day, like, but you're at least like you're all there. And so you're not thinking about this thing more than you need to, because sometimes we make a bigger deal about it and then it all crumbles down.
How challenging is it to be on as a parent when you are actively hobbling up and down the stairs after a race?
So after Philly, I picked this hotel and it was like 1.5 miles from the finish line. I was like, that's close enough. And so my kids got out there, cheered all day. They cheered at mile 1. They got 12. They got to the finish line. They were there every time. And so I finished and I'm like hobbling around. I had a really bad like last couple miles, so I'm extra hurt. And we take a picture and we're starting to walk back. And my youngest goes to me, Daddy, I'm tired. Can you carry me? I'm like, honey. And so I carried her for about 1.5 miles all the way back to the hotel, like trying to hobble. Like, and I have this, and then Philly had this bell, like it was a Liberty Bell, and it like had a ring in it. So like she was just playing with the ring the whole time. And I wanted to be like, this is hard enough without you ringing this bell for, this 20-minute walk. And it was, but like at the same time, like she was out there just as much as I ran a marathon she was 5 at the time, maybe 4. Can't remember. And then it was hard enough for her to be out there all day, like doing this thing and cheering and being out there for 4+ hours. So I was like, well, you put in the work too. So I will do my best to make us there. But there were some moments where like my legs started locking up. I was like, we're both going down.
Yeah, I can't say I've had to walk miles with my kids after, but I do feel like I like doing something active after. It kind of like flushes my legs out to keep moving. I feel like we went out and like walked some trails after with the kids after my race in Jersey City, but I can't say I had to carry anyone though. I'm like, no. Like, I won't be doing that, but I do find
just poor planning on my part.
Are there things that you've done in the past in this situation where you're like, yeah, that seemed like a good idea at the time, or like, I just didn't plan for it, really hope that never happens again?
I expected expected them to be easier with getting around, right? Like, it's a major city, is hard to navigate if you're near the finish line with transportation, right? Like it's hard to explain to them, no, we can't take a taxi for a 1/2 mile ride. We shouldn't, but even if we wanted to, like they can't even drive us there because there's gates everywhere in Boston, right? And so like, there were little things where I could have just, probably been a little bit more cognizant of what they were capable of instead of just assuming, oh yeah, we'll just walk this mile. Like, of course, it's so easy. Like, and they were like, absolutely not. And there was a lot of crying. And then like, I'm getting upset because I'm like, well, we're doing it and we have to get here. So like, I think for me, it's just understanding what they are capable of, being at races as many times as I've been and knowing what I, as a runner, can work my way through. Even though if you go back, if you take yourself outside this moment, you're like, wow, this is ridiculous. You do that for you wait in this line to get a bib. Like they don't just mail it to your house and you just put it like, or you have to like wait in this line. You have to go to this area and do this, like little absurdities that we're just used to. And then my kid's like, what are we doing? Why are we standing in our line? Why are we here? Why is this taking forever? So like, just think, acknowledging like, yeah, this is hard. Let's plan a break. Maybe we'll walk and then we'll get food and then we'll walk and we'll do something. Like we walked by a rock climbing wall at one point and I was like, no, we got to get to the expo. We could have stopped there. The expo line wasn't changing. We did it afterwards. But like, for me, it was like just little things of like, how do I build in things for them instead of just assuming it's so obvious why we'd wait in this line or why we'd be standing around for all this time to do the things that take longer than they should.
That's a really good point. Yeah, all these things that this is how it always is. And from a kid's perspective, when you think about it, some of this stuff doesn't make any sense.
No, they couldn't understand any of it. I didn't. And then I was like, why are we doing this? I'm like, I really don't know. They told me to stay in this line. I have to go in there to get my bib, and then I have to bring it back to the hotel. And my daughter's like, why don't you just send it to the house? I'm like, oh no, that's not a thing. No one does that.
I have to agree with like the waiting around and why can't we just get this now? Why can't we buy all these things at the expo? I'm very particular, like certain like expos and races. If I'll get things, usually I like try to be so quick. Don't need to look at anything. Don't need to buy anything. But obviously the majors, you want to stop and look around. But well, why can't we buy this? I like these shoes. I'm like, well, they probably don't have kid sizes at this race, but
I don't think they make kids alpha flies yet.
They're probably coming. But yeah, just trying to take a gauge on timing of everything and how we're feeling throughout the day. So maybe pack and pickup might be better earlier in the day compared to going at a later time when everyone's hangry and stuff. So just trying to be aware of everyone's tiredness levels and how to plan the day. Obviously, they'll get older and it will probably change next time I do a race with kids and family, but trying to figure that out.
All right. Well, as we wrap up, something I want to talk about is choosing your runcation or your race destination trips with your family in mind. Right now, if you were planning a race that you had to travel for, how much consideration, if any, would you put on it being a family-friendly destination? Or do you go race first, and then if the location happens to be good, then we'll think about bringing the family? Versus, this place sounds awesome. Is there a race here that I can run and we can make it a runcation?
Oh, I'm definitely going to do my race first. And then if it works, because I joked earlier, but I'd rather just do a vacation. Like if we're going to go somewhere, just go somewhere. I don't have to race there. I know we joke about it all the time, and as runners that everything's a runcation, but I can go somewhere and just be like, I'm just here. I don't need a race. And even if there was a race, I could just watch it. I don't have to be in it. So if I'm picking a race I want to do, I'll start there, and then I'll be like, all right, is this a place that would bring any benefit to having my family here? Would they even enjoy it? Would it just be some random city that we wouldn't know what to do? I bring up example of I did Boilermaker, and we were like, oh, we'll just go. We'll drop the kids off. They were a little younger. We dropped them off at my in-laws and drove up, and we were just we don't know if they would really super hot here in the middle of summer. It's up in upstate New York. Not a lot to necessarily do that would be fun for all of us. So we just dropped them off and we went, but I wanted to do the race. So it was just well, we're going to do this race. It wasn't the friendliest for us. So we didn't bring the kids.
As I'm doing my 50 states, and I will be honest, I'm only finally starting to get into we can go on a vacation and not do a race. I'm only finally getting there. I'm it's not worth traveling if we're not doing a race, but we're finally getting there. But I do have planned out states that I want to do based on timing of the year and how I assume activities are going to be with the family. So yeah, from there I kind of pick my state or race that I'm going to do, and then kind of decide if it's going to be worth bringing the family there, or if we can have other people come and join us to make it more fun to bring the family, or if it's just going to be just a me trip kind of thing. So I've kind of run out of places where I have friends I can go visit. So
yeah. Exhausted the friend bench. I like how you both acknowledge that you do not need to have a running related reason to be somewhere. You can just go on vacation. What a concept.
It's not.
We're so guilty of this.
Here. No, it's what normal people do.
You don't have to race. You don't have to have a reason. You don't have to find a 5K or a park run. You can, right? But it doesn't have to be the reason. We're very bad at that as runners. I find myself falling into this trap too, where I think, oh, I wonder if there's a race there. What? You could just go there. You don't have to run. And then you don't have to worry about being carb loaded and tapered. All right. Final thoughts as we wrap up. Is there a race, a future race, maybe a race you've already run, although I know you guys aren't fans of repeating races, or a race that you would like to run in the future where you're thinking this would be awesome for my family to be with me? And maybe as they're older, they're participating in some way, but is there some race in your mind where yeah, that would be a really great experience for us as a family?
The Dopey Challenge, going to do that, then go to Disney World and do because I've been twice. I'm not a Disney fan, one of those people just love Disney World. But if I did a race and had fun with it, then did stuff for them, even though I'm tired all day, I think it'd be good for everyone versus all right, we're just going to do the parks all day for a week. Like, at least then I can get a run in and get something fun for me. And then, go through the day and just sleep on some of the teacups while they spin it, and get a little nap in or something, that would probably be my example.
I was also going to say Disney. So I did the Dopey challenge for my honeymoon. Actually, my husband did the half with me, but he did not wake up early for the other races to join me. But we did parks all day after that. But actually just today, my son was like looking at my medals before he went to school today, and he saw the Disney ones. He's like, well, I really want to do the Pluto 5K. I'm like, you know what? I am not opposed to doing that again. So that might be a race in the future. And I am a big Disney fan.
Aw, so. I love it. I mean, there's a reason. Like, that's a great place for kids. They know how to entertain the kids at Disney World. Let them do their job. Well, Jessie and Nick, thank you so much for being here today as we are just barreling through 2025. We have a lot of spring races behind us, but of course, the rest of the year ahead of us. And I know many of our runners, the runners that we coach with Running Explained, many of the listeners will be planning to travel with their family to probably at least one race this year. So hopefully our conversation has given them some tips and tricks and things to think about as they're planning their weekend. So thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.